You know who made it.
And we are live from LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. As soon as I click go live on Instagram. Instagram's the only one that requires that extra step, by the way. Anyway, I digress. Let's get right into it. It's Revetings Wednesday, and we've got hot topics, hot guests, and hot prizes to give away as we do every night. And I just wanted to kick off with a little bit of announcement about our sponsors. So thank you so much to High Level and Cherry Assistant for making this episode possible. So I want all of you to consider something. I want you to think about the type of marketing you're putting out there and is it resonating with your audience? So one thing that we're helping people with is taking these snapshots from High Level and sharing templates with people so that you can build easily your entire marketing system. And so I'm helping people do this by getting on a High Level free trial. So just try it for 30 days. If you get on the High Level free trial, I will give you 3 months free of my group coaching program so that we can build your system and then export that to your own. So if you have questions about that, I want to help you with your side hustle, with your business, whatever it is. We're helping people right now grow really fast just by modernizing their landing pages, their automations, their social media, and all of this can be done in High Level. And, we'll drop the link in the comments. Just go to reveting.com/high level. And if you sign up for a free trial tonight, that's how you can now enter to win the High Level swag pack. So let me know, reach out to me. I can also see who signs up for the free trial, but that is where we're going with the High Level swag pack going forward. Also, tonight wouldn't be possible without Cherry Assistant. So everything you see here has been duplicated by Layla. Layla, thank you so much for being here. She's in the comments. Just let us know you're here. By the way, everyone who's tuning in on LinkedIn, and I see we got one person on YouTube, let us know, where are you tuning in from? Are you in the US? What state? What city? We've had people meet just like they realized they lived in the same block here on this show. So drop where you are, what you do. We want to know who we're talking to and keep us honest. But big thanks to Layla, who you will see in the chat. She's with Cherry Assistant, and Cherry Assistant makes this entire episode possible. They also do more than that, and you'll see that during intermission when we share a little bit more about what Cherry Assistant does, but it's a VA service, and they help line you up with a virtual assistant that helps you with your specific need. So your specific need might not be a live stream. It might be sales or something else. So reach out to Cherry Assistant and get started with them. So they're doing some amazing things. And I'm going to just put that QR code right up there for Cherry Assistant. And then it's reveting.com/high level for High Level. And now I want to get right into our hot topics here. But before we do, let's introduce the guests. Welcome to the show, Mathew and Elizabeth. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
I'm so glad that you could both be here. This whole night could already start happening. We've got someone from South Florida here. But anyway, yeah, where is everyone else tuning in from? Let us know, but let's get into the intros. So Elizabeth, you know this because you've been on the show before, and we were talking about this a little bit pre-show, Mathew, but we want to know your full life story. But of course, we're limited on time. So I'm going to put up a 2-minute clock. because, people buy from people, not brands. And everything we see on LinkedIn is so stuffy these days. So like, share your real life story. Where were you born and what brought you to this moment? So let's go ahead and start with you, Elizabeth.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised on the east coast of Canada, a small island called Cape Breton. And one of my big passions growing up was Highland dancing. And it's part of what led me to, I think, where I am in life today. And why that is I was very competitive in dancing. So danced in competitions all over the world. And it really taught me about hard work and tenacity. But it also helped me launch my entrepreneurial spirit and career, if you will. So when I first started making money for myself, it was back when I was 9 years old, and I wanted 2 pairs of sneakers. So I grew up in a middle-class family. We had a budget. We were out shopping, back to school, and I was told, okay, pick 1 pair of sneakers. I'm like, no, I want 2. And, anyway, I left with 1 pair and I thought to myself, you know what, I am going to go back and get those sneakers. I don't know how I'm going to, but I'm going to figure out a way. So I'm like, what can I do? So living in a tourist town, being a Highland dancer, which is very popular in Cape Breton, I packed up my Highland dance gear, went down to the government wharf, waited for cruise ships to come in and the bus stores, and I started Highland dancing. And I basically started busking. And I was like, I'm making that money to get those sneakers. I don't care how long I have to dance for. So anyway, I was pleasantly surprised that my sneaker budget was quickly filled. But then that basically turned into my first job. I kept going back for cruise ships, and then I got hired for hotels to dance for their bus tours. And that just taught me a lot about tenacity, problem solving, going after what you wanted, and doing it with something that I loved. So that was, kind of the launch pad for my entrepreneurial career.
Wow, that's incredible. I actually didn't know that you were, did you say a Highland dancer?
Highland dancer. Yeah. That's the kilt, not the river dancing.
Okay. Not the Irish thing.
No, not the Irish dancing. Kilts,
Okay.
that's Highland dancing.
Fascinating. Okay. That is so interesting. Now I'm wondering from everyone in the comments, what is something that we don't know about you? Because I love learning things like that about people. And it just brings it full circle. And I did dance. I know Mathew, your partner, Carly, she's a dancer. Her and I are very well connected. And I just know a lot of people in business who did dance. So I totally feel you there. And hi, Dean. Hi, Marissa. Thanks everyone for joining. But Mathew, let's turn it over to you and learn a little bit more about you and what we can't find about you on LinkedIn in 2 minutes.
My name is Mathew. I was born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa. And my dad was this really incredible, talented athlete. And so from the age of 2 to 3 years old, I was born with a barbell in my hand. So I grew up doing athletics and being heavily involved in just all things sport and sport related. Art was really my first passion, like drawing, painting, music, even singing and dancing. I loved dancing with my mom to Saturday Night 70s. My first words were G.I. Joe. I've had this kind of warrior ethos, has been a standing background throughout my whole life. Top Gun was my first favorite movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger and all those old 80s kind of action hero guys. I loved watching those movies growing up as a kid. Disney movies like Hercules were some of my favorites. BMX became a really early passion sport for me and amongst wrestling. And then we grew up actually very poor, very impoverished, Title 19, Section 8 housing. My dad was in a car accident in my early childhood that left him permanently mentally handicapped and disabled. My parents separated and were divorced. And so there were some really hard struggles financially, and that always left a big question in my heart around the whys, like why somebody had this versus somebody else having some other thing. And early, Apple was a big thing growing up for me. And Steve Jobs said that the world around us was created by people no smarter than you. And that really got me thinking, well, if anybody could do anything, then why not me? And so in my early 20s, I started really exploring entrepreneurship and seeing if I could carve out a path for myself as an entrepreneur myself. So it's been, I started out with sales jobs too early on, from 14 on. So entrepreneurship has kind of been a constant for me, I think, for several years now.
That's awesome. What was your first entrepreneurial journey?
Actually, my first entrepreneurial journey was shoveling driveways.
Oh, okay.
So, you know,
Des Moines, Iowa. That's a good
very,
market.
yeah, very heavy winters. And since we didn't, I didn't have a lot of money. So what we would do is just grab some shovels and go do door-to-door sales and make an irresistible offer like, hey, we'll shovel your driveway in this blizzard for $20, and it would be like a huge driveway, and we'd be out there all night long, sometimes 10, 12 hours. So that was probably my first real entrepreneurial journey.
I love that. And now look where you've come. So let's get right into our first topic, which, by the way, all of you who are coming, I don't know why my Jesse Lezak account can't reply on LinkedIn. So I see you, Marissa, and I replied on YouTube. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with the comments. They're a little funky. Also, make sure you're entering to win prizes. So prize one is a headset from Headset Advisor. You just got to put #headset to enter to win. Prize two is my coaching program, 1 month free. So just put in #personal branding to enter to win. And then we have our guest prizes for prize three. There is no prize four. That's a mistake over there. Apologies. So prize three, could you both explain what people are getting if they win your prize? Elizabeth, could you start?
Yeah, so 2 prizes. One is the Quest to Quota Attainment Course Access. So this is for all of our modules. And basically, this is for any revenue generating role from AE to AM, CSM. If you have a quota, there'll be something in there for you. The way that we've created the course is very bite-sized chunks. So if it's discovery on fighting the status quo and developing cost of inaction and mutual action plans, they're all very bite-sized, so you can really focus on the skills that you need to develop and practice. So that's prize one. And then the other is pipeline inspection. So we'll do a 1-hour call and do pipeline inspection with you and point out, and share our framework around how we identify any deals that aren't real.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Marissa is entering. Thank you, Marissa. Who else is there? Start entering to win these prizes. And also, could you, Matthew, share a little bit about your prize? And before you do, if you could unmute yourself. I muted you because I heard a little city noise in the background.
Oh, yeah, there we go. So one of the most common phenomenons with successful people that I've seen is that they've achieved some level of success, and yet once they arrive there, they're still kind of struggling with this never-ending feeling that something's missing, or there could be new added elements of psychological pain that the success has now brought them. And so what we can do on this 60-minute calls help you to identify the root causes of that psychological pain, as well as tools and techniques to help you actually get rid of that psychological pain so that you can increase your actual mental capacity.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And anyone would be lucky to win either of these. So definitely start putting in #revenue. We'll give it away at the end of the episode so you can be plugging these keywords to win these prizes. But if you want that high-level swag pack, you have to sign up for a free trial on my affiliate link at reveting.com/high-level. But let's get into our first topic. It is almost year end. It's almost Thanksgiving. And so let's get into year-end sales retrospectives, win-loss, GTM, and collaboration. Could you kick us off, Elizabeth?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with the win-loss analysis. And I want to start here because I often see a lot of sales teams doing very surface level win-loss analysis, and they're missing a lot of gold. And it's also often siloed just to sales teams, as opposed to sharing the wealth of data that's there across go-to-market, including product. So when I talk about surface level, what I often see is you'll do an analysis that kind of slices and dices where you won and where you lost based on closed, lost, and closed won reasons. And so it could be, all right, we lost because of no decision. Might be a secondary level of looking at industry vertical. And those are good things to run analysis on, but it's only scratching the surface. And so what I work with clients and what I do win-loss analysis on myself is doing it around a broader set of data points. And so this is looking at key segmentations of your customer base, different cohorts and personas and roles, and also including your existing customers. So this is around your churn, but also your expansion customers. Like, where are you growing or not growing? Where are you stagnating? And then beyond that, and especially, when we're coming up to the end of the year for a lot of companies, looking at it in the context of macro and micro circumstances. So it's one thing to look at the data, just within the context of your own business. But then we also need to make sure that sometimes when we're doing win-loss analysis, that we're also looking at regulatory changes in the competitive landscape. And then it's okay, well, what do we do with this data? So again, the next mistake that I see is, okay, you run the win-loss, but then, it kind of dies somewhere in a spreadsheet or goes no further than discussion in a meeting. So one of the things, I'll give an example from a client, is we ran a win-loss analysis, and they had 3 key verticals that were their ICP. There was SaaS, travel, and healthcare. At the end of the analysis, as we what we uncovered was SaaS was no longer within their ICP. They were longer sales durations, churning at a high level. The ACV was a lot lower, but healthcare and travel were actually becoming better ICP. And it wasn't just because of the ACV value, it was because of deal velocity, it was because of expansion growth, it was because of the customer acquisition costs were lower. And so when we really looked at it holistically, we could identify that, okay, here's where we're winning. Let's give this feedback to marketing so we can adjust our messaging and train our team on this new messaging and this new focus. And let's also work with product so that we're developing product or making the decision as go-to-market leaders together of, okay, who are we building this product for? If there is an ICP shift, if you've fallen out of product market fit, which has happened a lot in the last 18 to 24 months with different customers or different companies, then you can then decide, okay, what are we going to build our product for? How are we going to market? What is the message? Who can we actually retain? And then that's the retrospect. That's how you collaborate across go-to-market.
Oh man, I'm curious from the audience, who has done this sort of analysis, the win-loss analysis? I feel like I haven't seen that done properly.
Not many do, to be honest with you. Not many do it. It's very surface level. And then most don't know what to do with it. And it ends up being data that sits somewhere that doesn't end up having an impact on the business, and which is unfortunate because there's a wealth of information. And then the other thing is not talking to your customers. Like, go do a voice of the customer, pick up the phone and talk to your customers, talk to who left you. People love to give feedback and, sometimes complain and give opinions, capitalize that and learn from it.
Totally. What's your take on all this, Matthew?
Well, I really think that one of the things that getting really clear on your data does is it helps create ease within your business. And the clearer you can get on that data, it helps people make really smart choices. And in the game of being able to pair customers with the right products, or if you're in product development, then being able to understand where that data is leading you can give you a lot of things, I think, to go off of in terms of where you need to look in terms of what the future visioning or decision making is really going to drive the course of the organization. Mm-hmm. So that to me was really exciting.
Yeah. Such a good point.
I love what you said about driving the decision making, because that's ultimately what we want to get to, is what, are the best decisions that we can make with the info at hand so we can all win.
Yep.
Numbers make things, they help in making things clearer as well. I don't know any of the best founders that I have ever met that were not obsessed with the details of their business. They're very, all of them, and even great founders in the past were absolutely obsessed with the details of their business. And the clearer you can get around the numbers of your business, then it really appears to me, in my experience with working with founders as well, it helps with the non-tangible side of things too. The emotional end of driving the business forward, which so much of business really is centered around the mind and emotions of the individuals inside the organization, and then the minds and emotions of the customers that you're servicing.
Yeah, it's the data meeting the emotion and the feeling and the conviction, I guess, because one of the things that, if I think of some unfortunate board meetings, I guess I will put it that way, that I've been part of, it's well, I think we lost because of this, or I feel like we would do better if we had this feature. And it's all kind of, subjective or anecdotal stories. But then when you pair that with data and you say, okay, here's the data that supports this story and this trend that I'm seeing. And this is the impact that it's having on the customer. This is the impact that it's having on our team. We're losing a lot of deals. They're demoralized. They're frustrated. Our customers are frustrated. And so then you can start to package everything together, to your point, like there is emotions. It's not just all about data, but you have to pair the two together.
Absolutely. Split testing is really, I feel like at the core of driving every major business's growth, and being able to identify what's working versus what's not working. And since markets are always moving through different trends, then, you see guys all the time switching even on their landing pages, whether or not their offers are, say, $9.99 versus $9.97, and they're split testing just a different button, and then you get to remove some of the emotion out of it. It's very difficult a lot of times for human beings to want to destroy that which we create. And so then all that anecdotal stuff can kind of jump in, and it's like, well, I spent all this time creating this beautiful landing page, but if it's not driving traffic or serving the overall goal, then the data can really give us an opportunity to step outside of the emotion, analyze what's going on, and make a clearer decision so that we're heading in the right direction versus maybe swimming, completely the wrong way.
Yeah, this is a great point, and it's a great transition point. Speaking of swimming the other way, how can we have better empathy for founders who sometimes do swim the other way, not willingly or knowingly sometimes? But, you work with founders, Mathew. Could you kick us off on this topic of empathy for founders and supporting their unique journey?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to really kick it off would be to try to, remember your childhood dream. Like, remember that dream that you had where you're like, I would have done anything. Maybe you wanted to be an astronaut. Maybe you wanted to be an Olympian or something. I think we all have these big, wild, wonderful dreams when we're children. And then somewhere along the line, we start to become risk averse, and we start taking less chances. And especially as we adopt responsibility, maybe you get married and you have children and you're like, I don't know if I can take that risk. Well, the unique realm of a founder is they really are the risk takers of our world, and they have to handle such incredible pressure. And so if you look at any organization that is really moving, it's all top down. It's always top down. So the founders are obviously going to be a significant driver in the success or failure of that organization and whatever type of culture that they create. Now, if we can, as subordinates to the founder, if we're working inside of an organization, if we can sometimes step outside of our own personal experience within our own personal role within that organization, we can kind of look and see how the founder has to be the visionary. They're the salesperson. They're a problem solver. They're often solving tons of problems within the business at all times, all the while holding the weight that goes along with that. They're coming up with marketing strategies for client acquisition. They're trying to figure out sales process bottlenecks and funnels. They're looking at fulfillment and attempting to help solve the problems within fulfillment or client retention or client ascension. All the while, they still have wives and or husbands and families at home and children that they're dealing with, and they're holding the weight of a pressure that most people don't hold. And so they're humans like us, and they have emotions, and they have thoughts, and they have feelings. And I think empathy as a whole, as a skill to develop, is very valuable in the workplace from at any level in an organization. But founders are often not really thought about a lot. People don't usually look at a founder with empathy and compassion, a lot of times because sometimes they're getting the lion's share of the profits of the organization. But to their credit, what they have to endure and what they have to go through, and the amount of failure that founders have often went through prior to having a single successful opportunity actually pop and go. Many of these guys have gambled everything from their dreams, their visions. They've failed so many times. Like they've tried so hard to make something work only to have it fail, and then have to pick themselves back up and try again and again and again. And sometimes that's cost them big things in their lives. Maybe it's cost them their marriage, or it's cost them a relationship with a child, or something along like that lines, because they feel intrinsically that there's something in them that has to come out and be given to the world. And there's such a drive for that. And I think if we can get empathy going, top down and bottom up within organizations, then we can figure out how to work better and more collectively as a whole and as a team. And, one of the things that I see all founders look for within at least the founders I've worked with, is, are the individuals that are working for my team really caring about the projects that we're working for? Do they care about what we're doing? And they do have a general sense for that. And I think if you can show founders that you see them as a person, you care about them too, and you care about the collective mission, that's another way of ensuring that you could either move forward through that organization, or even if you want to post out to another job in another area, that founder will go to bat for you as your career could progress through another lane or another trajectory. I think it's just a way of showing really goodwill for yourself on all levels, and ensuring that you've got a lot of really powerful, good energy around you in whatever direction you want to go.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I really loved what you said about empathy from the bottom up and the top down, because it really is a two-way street. So important. I don't know. What's your take on all of this, Elizabeth?
I think that this also translates into how customers end up feeling as well. Because if you have an organization where there's no empathy amongst leaders, that there's no empathy to or from the founder, that kind of permeates throughout the organization. And then it ends up impacting how, sales are engaging with their prospects, how CSMs are engaging with their customers. And I've seen it time and time again where, going and working with an organization and morale is really low. So I think, this is kind of to the point of your throat, like top down, bottoms up comment, that it has a ripple effect if that empathy isn't there. And it impacts problem solving, it impacts decision making, it impacts culture. Like it just has or it can amplify if it's there. It can be a force multiplier if it's there.
Totally.
Yeah, I think we often forget that we're human beings, and every human being is going through an emotional roller coaster throughout the day. Even very highly trained stoics, they're still having an emotional experience on the inside. And empathy gives us a way to remember that we're human, and it gives us a chance to connect and start to hold space for one another, and then remember collectively that we're working for a common goal. And so as I really see that entrepreneurs have there were three key things I thought would be really good to think about, would be the emotional roller coaster of an entrepreneur, worrying about revenue coming in, money going out, how are sales, how's this, like they're holding the weight. If it fails, ultimately they're just kind of stuck. And then they have to feel the weight of like everybody who goes out of a job because they failed. And these guys and gals, they like to win. They don't particularly like to lose. They like to win. Yeah. So it's a big emotional thing. Then with that being said, that emotional load causes such extreme burnout and such extreme loneliness because they're struggling to connect with people. They spend a lot of time solo in their own spaces. And that would be kind of key factor number 2. And the third one would be this balancing act that they always have to do between living in the realm of their imagination, which is where their vision is. They're like, I have this vision. I mean, think about the iPod, right? Like Jobs living in the realm of imagination land completely, and then gambling all of that money, all of that time, Apple's future on the iPhone products that we have today, and then combining that with the reality of bringing something from imagination to a marketplace.
Totally.
That's such a wild place to live. And so and founders live there every day. Like they're really in the trenches of that every day. And I think sometimes, when I've worked for organizations prior to really deeply enhancing my own understanding of the full breadth of the human emotional system, it can be really easy to just be kind of locked into your role. I'm just a sales guy. My leaders don't get it, but I think if we can go top down and bottom up, then we can remember, well, we're a team here. If we all work together, it serves the organization. But to your point as well, is the customer feels it. The customer feels the benefit of having products that are produced by joyful teams that love what they're doing, that love where they're working at and who they're working for. Imagine walking into an office and like your founder's there and you really like him, like you like who he is or she is. And not only that, but their passion affects their top-down leaders and their integrity affects their top-down leaders, and everybody's just bought into the vision. And when you go there every day, you feel like you're a part of something and you're pushing forward towards something incredible.
Totally.
I think we all kind of want that in our work and in our lives.
Absolutely. No, it's such a great point. And I don't know. I like in that second part what you said about like we're all going through our own, I can't remember the word you said, emotional like roller coaster. So if we all just understand that everyone has that going on, even the most stoic, balanced people, they still have emotions inside, like, and we can connect with them on that. And people buy with their emotions too. So we should remember that part. But real quick, I want to hop on over to our sponsors. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Cherry Assistant through this ad, and we'll be right back with you.
This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. Mike hired a virtual assistant from Cherry Assistant about 2 years ago. Now he has a $50K per month business, fully managed by a remote operator in South Africa. His VA from South Africa does the following: closing inbound leads on the phone, Yelp and Google and Facebook, manages his CRM and Gulf High Level, deals with rescheduling, cancellations, any issues, hires and manages the cleaners, and sends them daily reports and updates. Mike has a fully cash flowing business managed by a remote operator for only $8 an hour. You can also hire a US equivalent worker in the Philippines, South Africa, Latin America for a fraction of the cost with Cherry Assistant. Be like Mike and grow your business with offshore staff.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Cherry Assistant has seriously helped me level up. I wouldn't be able to run my business without Cherry Assistant. So big thank you to Cherry Assistant for all they do. But they help tons of businesses like cleaning businesses, other B2B companies. So reach out to Cherry Assistant here. I'll put my QR code for Cherry Assistant up here. If you're looking for a VA, it won't break the bank and you will get some support. And they're good. Layla is phenomenal. Thank you, Layla, for all your efforts for tonight. And real quick, I want to tell you a little bit more about High Level. And I know, Matthew, you use High Level, right?
Yeah, I would say that I'm new to the High Level universe this year, but and I'm not. Tech is something new for me too. I'm kind of I'm more of a human mechanic than a tech savvy guy. But what I've loved so far about High Level is the user friendliness of it. That even for somebody like me who's relatively inexperienced on the back end of web design and all that other stuff, I can't even express how much fun I've been having personally messing around with understanding different funnels and the full spectrum service that actually Go High Level offers. So far, it's been my favorite platform to use.
That's awesome. Well, I agree. It's become my everything tool and I've white labeled it. So mine is app.reviting.com. And underneath my high level sweatshirt, I have my SaaSpreneur shirt. And basically, like, High Level does this like SaaSpreneur thing because they help you build a SaaS by white labeling their tools. So it's a full service CRM marketing platform. You can build your website, email, you've got your opportunities, all the sales stuff in there. And it's like all of the features that we would pay for these big SaaS tools, but for a fraction of the cost. But then you can add other accounts to it. So I have my Reveting account, and then anyone who joins my coaching program, they also get their own sub account without increasing my rate. So it's like an agency CRM. So if you are able to add some value, it's really easy to like create your own SaaS. And I add value just by helping people post on social media. So High Level has an amazing social scheduler that works across channels. And of course, we help people on LinkedIn, but we also help people across channels. So then we're able to get them on High Level and then go in and manage all of their social media on High Level. Then we have some clients we're also helping with their newsletter. Again, we just get into their High Level. Like, it's a full service platform. So if you are looking for a side hustle idea, or you're looking for a new offer for your business, think about creating a snapshot. And so what that means in High Level is you can make a snapshot of your automation, you can make a snapshot of your website, and you can copy that into another account. So I can take my website and put it into someone else's High Level and then just edit it. I don't have to rebuild the whole thing. Same thing with the automation. I can go in and just copy that. So that's what we're doing with High Level, and you can do that too. People are making so much money on High Level right now being an affiliate. So I don't just want to help you get on High Level. Like, if I'm going to provide value to you, it would be to help you become an affiliate because you get 40% commission. That's what I want to talk about tonight is the SaaSpreneur thing. So if you are interested in learning more about High Level, all you need to do is go to reveting.com/High Level, sign up for the 30-day free trial. You'll get entered to win for the swag pack, but you'll also get 3 months free in my coaching program where we can build the stickiness of your program within those 3 months. So that's all I have about High Level, but I would love to hear from people in the audience who are also using High Level and any other use cases. And folks, y'all are quiet in the comments tonight. I see Layla there. But I do see we've got 2 people on YouTube, and we do have some folks here on LinkedIn. But let us know, like, audience, talk to us. Where are you from? Like, what do you want to hear us talk about? This audience, this show is for you. So keep us honest. And let's move into our third topic. So Elizabeth, pipeline inspection framework.
Yes. So who here in sales has fallen for happy ears and lost deals that they thought they were going to win because they fall victim to happy ears? Well, this is about assessing whether your deal is real. And this is bringing some objectivity to the pipeline inspection process. So what we want to do is, okay, there's the mechanics of sorting through your pipeline, seeing what's in quarter. That's not really what I want to talk about. This is really looking at the strength of your deal. And so here are some things that we look at when we're doing pipeline inspection. So we want to look at something like the close date. So if you're looking at your team's close date, your own close dates, and everything's at the end of the quarter, like the last day of the quarter, that is a big red flag that the team actually doesn't know when the close date really is, that they don't really have any alignment with the prospect around what the evaluation criteria is, what date that they're working backwards from in terms of go live, signing contracts. So that's a big red flag that you want to unpack. There's also some surface level things that I find, whether you're a sales manager or your sales rep assessing your own pipeline, is looking at things like, are you multi-threaded? Okay, you can look at, whether you're using Gong or a CRM, and you can see in a deal, okay, you have 5 stakeholders involved in the deal. Yeah, multi-threaded. But that's not really indicative of, a deal that's real and deal strength. So when you're doing your pipeline inspection, what you want to assess is, do I understand of all of these stakeholders that we're looking with, what their role is in the buying decision. Have we done an influence map? So maybe we know who reports to who is the so-called signer and decision maker, but do we know who influences who? Do we know who is a detractor? Do we know who is, really supporting us? And have we tested our champion? Is our main point of contact just a main point of contact, or are they actually a champion? So these are the things that we want to assess and make sure that we're not just looking at the surface level detail around, yeah, we're saying this is going to close in quarter. Yeah, we have a few people that have been involved in the deal. We really want to get to the quality of the deal and to really assess whether we are working with the right people. The other aspect of pipeline inspection, and if there's, kind of one thing that if I have 30 seconds to look at a deal and to assess whether the deal is real, is looking at, have we identified what problem the prospect and client or client is trying to solve? And does that problem tie to a top priority that the decision makers in the buying committee is willing to spend money on? Companies and leaders have no shortage of problems. I think we can probably all agree, if we look at our roles, if we look at our companies, there's tons of problems. But what are the problems that align to a top priority that are going to get budget, that are going to be the things where they say, yes, this is going to help us hit this target, this top company priority, this is going to help me get a promotion. We want to tap into that emotional buy-in as well. And that's how you can assess whether a deal is real. This isn't exhaustive. I know I only have like 2 to 5 minutes to go over pipeline inspection, but those are the things that I really look for when doing pipeline inspection.
Oof, I love that. So if we could just snapshot that really quick, how would you put that into a 3-point list, just so we can remember a little easier?
Yeah. So the first part would be to look at red flags. So I'm going to sort through and filter my pipeline. So I go in my CRM, I'm going to filter my pipeline, and I'm going to look and see what deals are just conveniently put as the last day of the quarter. And then I'm going to see, okay, is this happy years and hope? Because hope doesn't close deals. I'm going to start inspecting those pretty darn closely to see if we've established what their desired go live date is, what the critical event is, what the things are that's actually driving that date, and the decision criteria and the success criteria. Because if we don't have those things, then, the rep may have just put that date in to, satisfy their pipeline, or again, kind of falling for happy year. So filtering date, then looking at stakeholder engagement. So again, not just whether we have how many contacts we have within that deal, but we want to look at quality engagement. And if we understand what each person in the buying committee is assessing and making a decision based on, if we don't know that, then we haven't done our quality work in multi-threading. And then the last thing is that problem priority. So sure, this is a problem, and yeah, we can help solve that, but is it really a priority? Is this really something that that aligns to everybody in the buying decision committee, aligned on that it's a top priority, and they're going to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm for investing in this. So those are the 3 buckets.
Oh, I love that. What's your take on all of that, Mathew?
Well, I'm really excited because I feel like both this subject of looking over your pipeline is right in alignment about, tapping into the customer's subconscious pain, whether that's business to business or business to consumer. Exactly what you said. What is this critical problem that we're trying to solve, which ultimately is translating to some sort of pain, either in that business's organization. And so, or if it's, business to customer, then have we clearly identified what is the pain of this customer? And knowing that data for yourself, going through your pipeline, looking at where you're at inside of the sales cycle, and just understanding that can give you a lot of opportunity to go back and touch base with those customers again, reopen conversations. And sometimes sales are not dead. In fact, with the average person buying between 9 and 12 touches, usually takes between 9 and 12 touches for a person to have contact with your product, service, or organization, then just having those contacts with either representatives or reaching out and just establishing an opening communication and just trying to dig out of them, again, what is that core pain problem, so that then we can kind of move forward through the sales process and even figure out if we have a service or a product that actually solves their need. I mean, one of the best ways to get future business is say no to a customer that's not a right fit for your organization today. Like if they're coming into your organization and you don't actually have a product or service that you need, one of the best things that you can do is not hard sell them or hard sell or even bypass somebody, get right to a decision maker and give them a product that ultimately leaves them with a bad taste in their mouth. Then they're not going to come back and buy again. But if you say, hey, we didn't really see that we had a product that fit for you now, or maybe there's a product even from a competitor that you think could be better, that wins so much goodwill. They might go with you simply because of the goodwill. But I do think what you're talking about identifying that to me, all the great sales guys that I know, like the heavy hitter, high ticket closers, they're looking for those critical pain points.
Yeah. And it's the emotional and rational pain. So we'll justify what we buy with rational decision making. So that's the KPIs. Is it saving me money? But what really gets us to buy in is that emotion. And so is this going to help prevent me get fired? Is it going to help me get that promotion? Is it going to mean that I'm going to be working, 40 hours instead of 50 hours because it solves this major problem for me? And then, so again, this goes back to the stakeholder management, and the multi-threading is identifying what those emotional tie-ins for each of the stakeholders that you're working with, so that they're like, oh my God, yes, you have to buy this, sign now, sign yesterday. That's what you want. And, tying really into that pain is key.
Yeah, and to your point too, the rationale component, the building the emotion is just kind of like warming up. The rationale is where you make them feel safe, that what you have to offer can actually deliver and solve that product. And I think that to give them, as many things that you have at your disposal inside of your toolkit to help them to actually see that the best way to solve their problem is through your product or service, then I think you're really killing it.
Yeah, you got to paint the full picture for them, and it includes both rational, emotional. Paint the vision for them, put the business case together, connect the dots for them across all of your stakeholders, tie it to that top priority, so that, big business case is there, and then you're going to win a lot of deals. And to your point also about saying no, I like to see deals being lost twice as quickly as deals being won. Find out quickly who is not the good fit and close those out, get them out of your pipeline, stop spending time on them. So do really strong discovery, figure out who the losers are and the ones that you're not going to win quickly, and then spend the time on the ones that you can win.
That's powerful. That's what I need to do. Thank you for that reminder. And it's a good transition point. I mean, we've already been talking about pain, so let's get into subconscious pain. This is your expertise in Mathew, among many things, understanding customers and tapping into their subconscious pain. Could you kick us off?
Yeah. So, every time as I see this, we all, whenever we go to purchase something, there is a pain in our life that we're attempting to solve. But for us on the other side of that, whether we're in the founder role or we're somewhere in the organization, what we're trying to understand is what is the hidden pain? What are they not fully communicating with their words? And so we want to be able to dive into our customers on a subconscious level and really speak to those subconscious pains. So, most of the time, an example would be if somebody wants to lose weight, they usually don't necessarily want to just lose 40 pounds. Or whatever that may be. Maybe they're on their way to their next high school reunion, and that ex-boyfriend that they used to know and have a relationship with is going to be there. And so they want to feel confident in their clothes, and they want to have an aura about them when they go into that interaction. And so these are some of those subconscious pains that we can actually use to craft messaging or craft offers around that actually speak more to the detailed part of a person, that where when they read your messaging or when you're having a conversation with them, they literally feel like you're inside of their head. So as I see it, I think there are three key things that we want to think about when it comes to subconscious pain. The first one would be never underestimate the power of emotional triggers, even for yourself. Really get to know, like, what is a trigger? A trigger means that if there's an emotional trigger that arises in a person, that is that person's subconscious speaking. If you've ever caught yourself in a moment where an emotion just suddenly flooded your body, what happened was incoming data came into your consciousness. It hit your subconscious faster than your conscious mind could process it. And then you had a flash of emotion. So actually your subconscious mind was thinking thoughts, and then your body produced a biochemical emotional response to that. And then you're feeling that viscerally inside of your inner experience. And, that can make for somebody to have a very hard yes or a very hard no. And knowing the power of emotional triggers can really help us create an atmosphere of safety. Say if we're a salesperson, and now what we want to do, we've got a customer on a call and we're having this very first interaction with them. We need to build rapport, and we have to start to understand what has brought us on this call today. And so that's really going to be point number 2, which is getting to understand the pain and the desire. So this is like, what is the pain that they're wanting to solve or avoid? And then what is their dream outcome? What is their absolute, what is it that they would love to move towards? Like, where's their darkness? Where's their light? And we want to understand those two things and really care about that. And that brings me to the third component of this, which really is active listening. This is where I believe really loving your customer or loving the person on the other side of the phone, really caring for them and caring that the product or service that you're going to help match them with is actually going to help them solve their problem. I really think that this is going to be the future of business as a whole, especially in the next maybe say 10, 15, 20 years. I think business has gotten so competitive that it is going to be the salespeople who care genuinely about the people on the other side of that phone call, and they want to understand the subconscious pain, and they really want to provide a real solution. So some good methods to do this, I think, are just continuously asking a why-based question. Well, tell me more about that, and then pause. And as they kind of dive into, because people are not necessarily trained to be vulnerable in today's society. So we want to be able to give them an opportunity to feel seen and understood, for that rapport to happen. And then to keep digging why. I really recommend digging down at least 4 or 5 whys. Well, why that? Okay, well, tell me more. Well, why about that? Why this? And as you do that a little bit more, it's going to give that person a chance to kind of do that with themselves. And you're going to get to draw out of that person the real reason why this is a pain for them. And then we can better paint the picture as to what their dream outcome is. And what we're trying to do is then place our product as the solution. If it genuinely is, we're going to place our product in the solution. Here's your pain. Here's your dream outcome. Our product or service is going to be the solution to this. And that's when the irresistible offer can come in, and it almost sells itself at that point. So things that I look for is creating maps of that person's emotion inside of my own mind. So I'm looking at the language that they're using, what words are they choosing to use to describe what they're saying back to me, so that I can then, I'm not parroting in a way that I'm just trying to mimic them, but I am trying to build connection. I want them to know that I'm actively listening to you. I care. I want to know what you're really going through. And I want to get down to that deeper thing so we can really figure out whether or not this product or service is actually going to be a match for you. And then we can paint a real picture for you as to what this product or service, where you could be after using it. The thing would be storytelling. Not being afraid to use a little bit of storytelling inside of your, you could share a story of other customers that have had successes with your products, or getting them in touch with their inner story. What is that story that they're telling themselves currently about what they don't have? And what is the story that they're telling themselves about what life could be like once this problem is solved?
Such an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, there's so much that totally aligns to the way I think and my team thinks about how we engage and work with clients. When you're talking about why and the layers, one of the things in the course for whoever wins it is that we do layered discovery questions, because it's digging into that pain and that problem. And I love asking questions that are from your perspective, in your opinion. That really gets people to open up, because sometimes, quite frankly, like, they're not, especially middle management, they're not necessarily always asked what their perspective or opinion is. And so sometimes when you give that opportunity and you create that safe space, you will get a wealth of information and you will build that trust. And then storytelling is huge. It actually, there's science behind it where it starts firing people's neurocoupling. And so they see themselves in their mind's eye as you're telling a story. So there's, it's really powerful when you can do that, kind of layered question, like digging deeper, as you're saying, and then pair that with a story. Oh, that's so powerful.
It really is. Storytelling is really where it's at. I mean, humans have been telling stories since the beginning of time. We talk about this on here before, where it's like we see cave drawings, right? Like early prehistoric people, whatever, like they were telling stories and passing them down. Like they resonate. It's part of our DNA. We are storytellers. So yeah, I'm really glad that both of you brought that up. But we are running close to the top of the hour, and we got to give away prizes and do the Guru of the Week. So I'm going to go ahead and transition us into the Guru of the Week. Woo-hoo! I'm going to pull myself out of the screen, and I'm going to ask you both to tell us why folks should be interested in your Guru of the Week, why they should go follow them on social media, where they can find them on social media, how they inspire you, and why you think they might inspire others as well. Drum roll, here are our gurus.
All right, I'll kick it off with Todd Caponi. If you're not following him on LinkedIn and Instagram as well, I love his Instagram account. He's a sales historian. Why I love Todd is because he talks a lot about the history of sales, and a lot of what he talks about, and he's, a sales expert and knows his stuff in an applicable fashion for today's selling world. But he kind of cuts through a lot of the BS, I find, with his content, in the sense that, you go on LinkedIn and you see everything's dead. Outbound is dead. Inbound is dead. Everything is dead. But you go into, Todd's content, and he really gets to kind of just like the root of a lot of the history of sales and how it's evolved. And there's always, some thought-provoking things to think about. And I just find it's always rooted in reality. And again, he's a sales expert, so there's always, some tips and some things to take away. His content is just fresh and different from anyone else that's on LinkedIn. So give him a follow.
So I really think that Sadhguru, he inspires me so much, because whether it's business or life, I think that everything that we do in life is centered around increasing our feelings of pleasantness. Meaning, I want to feel more pleasant than I presently feel whether that's business or life. And so human well-being is really at the center of all of our hearts. And I think that if you look around the world today, I think we would all agree that there's probably a lot more pain in people's lives, emotionally and mentally, and in certain areas of their life that they'd like resolved. And I think there's some confusion for all of us. There was many sleepless nights for me in my younger years, not necessarily knowing how to get the most out of me, how to get the most out of my body or my breathing. What were these things that I called emotions? How does my mind really work? What is consciousness? And so there are a few people in the world that have really inspired me. And Sadhguru really is a man, in my experience, whose integrity is unmatched. his clarity of perception is just phenomenal. And when I see life lived as intensely as his, I think to myself, I'm like, wow, how does this guy is managing all of these amazing things. He's such a giving person. And I know that if you take some time to check out his content, if you're interested in anything about being human, he's got an enormous amount of wonderful content on how you can get the most out of yourself.
Yeah, he's such a unique guru of the week. I'm so glad you chose him. And I do follow him on Instagram. I don't know, where else is he big that people might be able to follow him?
He's huge on YouTube. I think one of the most popular ways people kind of search him is they'll say Sadhguru on anxiety, or they'll go Sadhguru on depression, or and then you'll just find like hours of content of him just kind of giving insight onto these various aspects of being human and what it means to be human.
I can't wait to check him out.
Yeah, no, he's really cool. I like seeing him in my feed. He really is inspiring. But with that, we got to give away some prizes. So before we do, could you? Yes, prizes. Could you both tell our audience one more time about your prize? Matthew, could you start?
Yeah. So what I help people do is identify what the root cause of their psychological pain is, even after the success that they've achieved. Most of the time, people have been operating from a perspective like, once I get this thing that I really want, then this kind of inner pain that I've been feeling is going to go away. Then they get there and they're like, ugh, it didn't go away. What do I do now? I don't know how to even identify it. I don't know how to get rid of it. I've exhausted every known way. I've got the money. I've got the house. I've got the car. I've got the business. I've got it all. And I'm still, and that's where your boy comes in and throws like a Patrick Mahomes touchdown pass. And we identify what that root problem is and show you how you can actually get rid of that psychological pain for good.
Yeah, I love that. Such a needed course. Thank you for sharing that. And how about you, Elizabeth?
So the Quest to Quota Attainment course is for sales reps, AEs, AMs, CSMs. We have it broken out so you can choose your own adventure if it's new business, expansion, or renewals. And it's bite-sized chunks, so you can learn a new skill, practice the skill, move on to the next one, short videos, along with some helper content. And then we'll do a 1-hour free consulting on pipeline inspection. I reviewed part of our pipeline inspection process today. Whoever wins will see the full framework that we follow. So yeah, that's what we're doing, Way.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and give away some prizes. We didn't get too many entries, y'all. So if you're still here and you haven't entered, put #revenue, #headset, or #personal branding. Right now, I only see one entry for personal branding. So Layla, if you don't mind going through the comments and just finding that one manually, I'll just run those that have multiple entries. So let's go ahead and give it away, that headset. So we've got 2 entries, and it's either going to Carly or it's going to Marissa. So who is getting that headset? It's going to be Carly. Congratulations. This is your night. You are getting a headset from Headset Advisor Queen. We will be reaching out to you, connecting with you via email. We do already have your information. So Layla, we have that somewhere. We can definitely find it in High Level probably, and we'll be connecting you with the Headset Advisor team. Congratulations. And let's go ahead and give away our next prize, which is the #revenue. So again, we got Marissa and Carly going in on prizes here. Who's it going to be? Is it like Carly's night? If so, I think she needs to go get a lottery ticket. No, Marissa, you're going to take prize 3, #revenue. So I can't remember, Marissa, if we have your information or not, but Layla will help get in touch with you. You can also go to reveting.com/win to submit your information, and we will connect you with the prize givers to get you your prize via email. But thank you both so much for coming on the show and for sharing a prize and all your valuable information. And, this isn't the end of this. We repurpose this to podcast, and, it'll continue to get views probably more even afterwards. So if people are listening in and they want to follow you or they want to work with you, where could they reach out to you? So could you tell us, who do you serve? How do you serve them? And if they want your help, how could they reach out to you, Elizabeth?
So we work with mainly B2B tech companies. Reoccurring revenue models is our sweet spot. And in the, kind of 5 million upwards to 100 million, we help with revenue optimization. So if you're struggling to hit revenue targets, we help you from marketing, sales, customer success, revenue operations, or if you have a lofty goal that your investors or board are pushing you, whether it's profitability or big revenue increase, we will help you hit those targets. And you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. So look up Elizabeth Italiano. There's not many with my name, so you'll find me there, or you can email me at elizabeth@wntdpartners.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And how about you, Mathew?
So we work with a lot of variety of successful people. We do work with a lot of founders, but we can actually help everybody from professional athletes, we've worked with chiropractors, doctors, physicians, surgeons, really anybody in that niche group that is used to achieving and winning, but they're finding themselves finally in this point where the winning and the success is no longer giving them the fulfillment that it once did. They're kind of coming to the end of their rope with the success, and they're finding that they're still in psychological pain. So we can help you to identify what the root cause of that psychological pain is and give you practices, processes, and the support that will help you to uncover it, get rid of it, and get you clear on what's next in your life and in your future.
That's incredible. Well, thank you both so much for coming on tonight. And thank you everyone for attending. Congratulations to our prize winners. And I hope you all have a great night. But before we go, I want to just let you know that we have a big episode coming up on December 11th. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of Roger Wakefield? Let me change the camera angles here a little bit. But Roger Wakefield has like 600,000 followers on YouTube and TikTok. And he is a plumber. And what he did is just started creating content about plumbing. And it's incredibly fascinating. So we hope you can come on December 11th for this episode. We will be doing a replay next week for the Thanksgiving episode. But until then, we hope you all have a safe week. And thanks again, Mathew and Elizabeth, for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
You know who made it.